My name is Jhaveri, and it's an honor to share my Jewish journey with this community. I converted to Judaism in June of 2004 at the 92nd Street Y in New York City. But that was not when my Jewish journey began. It started as a child growing up in Westport, Connecticut. Born from a Hindu mother and a Muslim father, I grew up with no religion, no rituals, no belief system, and no God in our family. When my parents emigrated from India in the 1960s, Hindus and Muslims were forbidden to marry. A new country, the USA, offered them freedom from the unnecessary shackles of religion. At least that's how they saw it. However, after 13 years of a tumultuous marriage, my parents divorced. Our home was empty in one dimension. There was no comfort of community or prayer, reflection or purpose in our trauma or happiness. As a child, I understood this freedom as a deafening isolation. I'd rather have been bound and connected to people and completely taken by some way of life. That is when my Jewish journey began. As a young adult, travels to India helped me to discover my roots in Hinduism and Islam. The study of Buddhism took me to the Dalai Lama's ashram in Dharamsala, on the Indian side of the Himalayas. A quest for connection year after year ultimately turned up very little to fill this indescribable void. This too is part of my Jewish journey. When I met my husband, Michael, his Judaism was an obscure part of him to me. We never shared a Jewish holiday together. I never noticed Jewish symbols in his home. He spoke very little of his deep Jewish upbringing. He essentially had abandoned his Jewish way of life. I had a glimpse once when we took a trip to the Torah synagogue in Newport, Rhode Island. Michael effortlessly chanted Torah with the community of Orthodox Jews. I was awed by the synchrony of total strangers who convened in profound ritual to demark that moment that is sacred to all humans, rest. That very Shabbat was my awakening to Judaism. I learned more about Judaism through my conversion class and became more enamored about being Jewish. It was accessible, it was practical, and it offered a place for my future children to grow roots, to bud, and find continuum with Jews of their past and those who they may meet in their future. The power of a Jewish life was becoming all too real for me. My vision was not shared, however. My mother rejected it because she thought and considered conversion a submissive act for a woman. My husband expressed deep discomfort out of fear that I might become a religious fanatic. My peers in my conversion class slowly dropped out, declaring a religious identity crisis. I was alone on long stretches of the road to Judaism. Thankfully, I never lost my vision. I inherently knew a promised land of sorts was real for me if only I kept going. Each year, Michael and I and our two children, Pearl and Arthur, now visit the graves of Michael's parents, Pearl and Arthur Brown, outside a cemetery outside Boston. It is a noticeable coincidence that our annual pilgrimage is always met with unfiltered sunshine and comforting quiet. Etched in the gravestones, it reads, Pearl, beloved wife, devoted mother, and Arthur, beloved husband and devoted father. In that moment, I am reminded that the current coordinates of my Jewish journey has me at togetherness, physically and spiritually. I know the Jewish journey is not over for me. I know the road will take me to new Jewish places and spaces. But I am certain that my wandering in the desert is now behind me. And for that, I am grateful. On behalf of the Brown Jhaveri family, Shana Tova.